September 1st, 1939. At dawn, German forces crossed into Poland. Within 48 hours, Britain and France declared war. Within months, Europe was engulfed. Within years, the world would burn. This was not a border dispute. This was not a limited campaign. This was total war. Fought across continents, oceans, skies, and cities. More than 70 million people would die. Entire nations would collapse, and the global balance of power would be permanently transformed. This was World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, but it did not begin with invasion. It began with humiliation, with economic collapse, with political extremism. To understand World War II, we must first understand how the world unraveled before it ignited. Part 1: The Broken Peace. When World War I ended in 1918, Europe was devastated. Empires had fallen. Borders were redrawn, and the defeated nation of Germany was forced to sign the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. The treaty imposed severe territorial losses, massive financial reparations, strict military restrictions, full blame for the war. For many Germans, it was not peace, it was punishment. The economic consequences were catastrophic. Hyperinflation spiraled out of control in the 1920s. Savings were wiped out, unemployment soared. Then came the Great Depression in 1929, worsening instability across Europe. Democratic governments appeared weak. Extremism began to rise. The world had won a war, but it had not secured stability. Part 2: The Rise of Hitler. In this climate of anger and despair, one political movement gained traction: the Nazi Party. Led by Adolf Hitler, it promised economic recovery, national pride, military restoration, expansion of territory. In 1933, Hitler became Chancellor of Germany. Within months, democratic institutions were dismantled. Opposition parties were banned. Media was controlled. Propaganda flooded society. Germany rearmed, openly violating the Treaty of Versailles. Europe watched. But many leaders feared another war more than they feared Hitler. They chose appeasement. It was a decision that would define the decade. Part 3: Expansion without consequence. Hitler tested the limits of Europe's resolve. In 1936, he remilitarized the Rhineland. No one intervened. In 1938, Germany annexed Austria. Still no war. Then came the Sudetenland, a region of Czechoslovakia. At the Munich conference, Britain and France agreed to allow German annexation in exchange for promises of peace. Prime Minister Winston Churchill would later call it a grave mistake. Because appeasement did not prevent war, it delayed it and emboldened aggression. Part 4: The War Begins. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland. Blitzkrieg, lightning war, combined fast-moving tanks, air power, and coordinated infantry. Poland fell within weeks. Britain and France declared war. World War II had begun. Soon, Germany advanced through Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, France. By 1940, most of Western Europe was under Nazi control. Only Britain stood firm. The Battle of Britain became the first major air campaign fought entirely in the skies. German bombers targeted cities. British pilots defended relentlessly. Britain did not fall. The war expanded. Part 5: Axis versus Allies. The conflict divided into two major alliances. Axis powers: Germany, Italy under Benito Mussolini, Japan, Allied powers, United Kingdom, Soviet Union, United States, France, China. The war now spanned Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. It was no longer regional. It was global. Part 6: The Eastern Front. In 1941, Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union. It was the largest land invasion in history. Millions of soldiers, thousands of tanks, entire cities besieged. The fighting was brutal. The Battle of Stalingrad became one of the deadliest battles ever fought. By early 1943, Germany suffered a devastating defeat there. It marked a turning point. From that moment, German forces would begin retreating westward. The Eastern Front alone would claim tens of millions of lives. Part 7: Pearl Harbor and Global War. On December 7, 1941, Japan attacked the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor. The following day, the United States entered the war. What had begun in Europe was now a full-scale world conflict. The Pacific Theater saw intense naval battles. Midway, Guadalcanal, the Philippines. Island by island, Allied forces advanced toward Japan. Part 8: The Holocaust. While armies clashed, Nazi Germany implemented the final solution: the systematic genocide of 6 million Jews, alongside millions of others, including Romani people, political dissidents, and disabled individuals. concentration camps, forced labor, industrialized killing. The Holocaust remains one of the darkest chapters in human history. It revealed the terrifying potential of ideology fused with state power. Part 9. D-Day and the Fall of Germany. On June 6, 1944, D-Day, Allied forces landed on the beaches of Normandy. It was the largest amphibious invasion in history. From there, they pushed inland. Paris was liberated. German forces were squeezed from both east and west. In April 1945, Soviet troops entered Berlin. Hitler died shortly before Germany's surrender in May 1945. The war in Europe was over, but the Pacific conflict continued. Part 10. The Atomic Age. In August 1945, the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Japan surrendered shortly after. World War II officially ended. But a new era began, the Atomic Age. Part 11. The Aftermath. The consequences were staggering. 70 to 85 million dead, cities reduced to rubble, entire populations displaced. The war reshaped global power. The United States and the Soviet Union emerged as superpowers. The Cold War began. The United Nations was established to prevent another global conflict. Europe rebuilt through the Marshall Plan. Germany was divided. Japan was occupied. The world order was rewritten. Final conclusion: why it still matters. World War II was not inevitable. It was the result of economic collapse, political extremism, failed diplomacy, unchecked aggression. It demonstrated how fragile global stability can be, how quickly democracies can fall, how ideology can override humanity, and how hesitation in the face of aggression can have catastrophic consequences. The war ended in 1945, but its legacy continues in global institutions, in geopolitical tensions, in nuclear deterrence, in the lessons history continues to offer. Because World War II was not just a war between nations, it was a warning about power, about extremism, about silence, and about what happens when the world waits too long to act. History does not repeat exactly, but it echoes, and the echoes of World War II still shape the world we live in today.